I've been a fan of the Elixir since it came out, and it does exactly what I need to do. Long off the tee, holds a lot of greens. I can easily spin it with the wedges. Performs very well, okay? When the new ball came out, the Vero X1, I was skeptical because they say it's longer off the tee, but usually that means it's a harder cover. Well, it's not a harder cover. It's just as spinny as the Elixir, but it just pounces off the face. It is amazing. So I highly recommend it if you're looking for an extra couple yards off the tee and still want that same spin number that you get in your wedges and your irons and everything else. It is an awesome ball. Team Encore. See that? Got me for life.
For more information, their website is www.encoregolf.com. And be more with Encore. Welcome back to Biggs Golf Talk right here on Native Family Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, your Amazon devices, your favorite podcast platform. Let's not forget about YouTube. Subscribe. When we get to 250, well, we're giving away a Squares golf shoe package. Now, it's not the nice, beautiful shoes that one Sir Nick Faldo has created, but it certainly will be a great pair of shoes from Squares, a nice little pack when we get to 250. So it's always a good time when we get...
Yeah, but you know what, Biggs?
What's that, Bill?
People need to start looking at the YouTube and watching all those videos because you never know what you're going to find out.
I know. We were giving away a nice little rangefinder, and man, oh man, we only got a couple entries, so...
Yep, it's never too late to get that rangefinder. All you gotta do is go find the video. As we get closer,
well, they had to make their guesses for Arnold Palmer Invitational. That's
that's what I'm saying. They gotta. I wasn't telling them how to enter. I was just telling them where to go look. You need to go look. That's what I'm saying. Go look. I ain't doing your job for you. Go look. You find it.
I need a new rangefinder.
Yeah. Amanda the Golf Diva Robertson is back with us, and
maybe Amanda will go find it, and then she could share it with her people.
Then I can tell everyone to get.
Tell everyone. Yeah, she can tell everybody on her Instagram feed where to go. We can't. Maybe
for those that don't need one, that know Amanda Robertson can enter for Amanda Robertson and send it.
There you go. Amen. Gosh, you guys are so smart.
Nobody ever accused Biggs of that before.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know about that. Let's not go too far, okay?
There's lately our country, not just our country. It is our country because everybody's laughing at us. But there's such a division and now a new culture they're calling cancel culture, where everything's getting canceled because people are offended. Right. I think the only thing that I've seen was Hasbro had come out and said that they were going to remove the Mr. and Mrs. from Potato Head, and it was just going to be Potato Head. Well, they have retracted that and received a lot of backlash for that, and has announced that they will remain Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head.
Wow.
And I
rightly so. Let's start there.
I don't. Why you can if you have a different whatever, you can make Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head whatever you want.
You can make a transgender Mr.
You can make it exactly.
You can name it whatever you want.
It's a potato.
It's a potato.
A potato,
with
whatever you
removable
want to call it.
You got to
It
add.
has exactly. It has you want to have eyelashes? You can make it whatever you want.
Right. And if you want to have 2 potatoes and you want them to both be 2 Mr. Potatoes or 2
Mrs. Potatoes, you can make them whatever you want. That's what I'm saying. That's what's beautiful about potatoes. You can make them whatever you want. You could have them scalloped. You could have them toast. You could have them baked. You can make it whatever you want. It's a potato.
This makes sense to us, right? We don't judge for people that want to do things like that. You want to have 2 Mr. Potato Heads, and God bless you. 2 Mrs. Potato Heads, God bless you.
Exactly.
With a Mr. and Mrs. together, God bless you. But don't penalize the history of a toy. It's a toy.
It's a toy. It is not even a replication of a human. That's what's hilarious. It's a potato, as Bill was saying. Like,
it's a plastic potato. That's what it is. It's plastic. A plastic potato.
Well, if you want to take a real potato and do whatever you want, I mean, hey,
you could do that too. But the point
there's a lot of good uses for a real potato. You can take a broken light bulb out of a thing with a
plastic. You know what I mean? I don't understand. I mean, I grew up when it was okay to go outside. They wanted you. If your friend got the measles and the chicken pox, you were going to his house. You know why? Because they want everybody in the neighborhood to have that thing.
Well, here's the
thing. Get out the way. Get it done.
Back in the day, Bill the Godfather. Now, Amanda's a little younger than we are.
Mm-hmm.
And back in the day, Bill, we played in sand lots, dirt lots. We scraped our knees.
Ate worms.
You were running from dinosaurs.
We ate worms before they did it on that show on CBS. So I don't know what she's talking about.
Pterodactyls, man.
We drank, get this, Amanda. I know this might be shocker to you, but we drank water straight out of a hose. Garden hose.
A garden hose. God knows where that garden hose been. And you know what? You know those fountains in the park that you can't touch now? We drank out of that too. We drank out of that. And we played on the swing without nobody cleaning it. And during the summertime and wintertime, when it got frozen and stuff like that, we licked it. We were the first one. And I was done. My tongue didn't get stuck on it this time. So yes. And when the lights went on, you better get home.
Just for the record, we would scrape our knees, break our elbows, break our arms, and get gashes in our heads. And guess what? Our parents didn't sue one person.
No, and you went home, and a lot of times you didn't even go to the doctor. They just taped you up. Mom.
Look at those 2 fingers right there. A sewer cover fell on those 2 fingers. And you know what they said? They put 28 stitches in one of those fingers and 35 in the other. And they said, go back outside and play.
Yeah.
And don't be so stupid.
Stop crying. There's no crying. Why are you crying for?
Why are you crying?
Why are you crying? Not now. They didn't care. And all this stuff about infection, you're going to get this. I was playing in the dirt with stitches and everything else. We used to go fishing outside, use the dirty worms that we found in the dirt, go fishing, get hooked. I mean, my cousin got ripped. He got hooked with somebody going, beep. You know what he did? We cut it and ripped it out. None of this stuff. Oh, you can't. No.
So on social media, a friend of mine who's a former wrestler and a Hall of Fame wrestler from the WWE, you might know him as the Road Dogg, Jesse James. Road Dogg put something on there about hate speech, and how oppression isn't something one says. Oppression seems to be of what you can't say that offends somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's a few comments on there. One of those comments was, and it looked like it was directed to him, that if I tell somebody not to say the N-word and they do, I am going to beat the bleeping out of them. Now, here's my comment on that. And I said that word is a hateful word no matter how it's said. Now we know, and here's the thing I said. I said, the funny thing is somebody tells me not to use that word, and that same person uses that word in a different way to somebody else. There's no other definition of that word. There's one
Sure.
definition. It's a hateful definition.
Right.
Okay? So if it's wrong for one person to say that N-word, it is wrong across the board, and it should be eliminated from the language.
We would think that, but
We would
we don't
think
have
that.
that. You don't have it. It's not what you see.
Right.
It's not what's portrayed.
Right.
It is what it is. Even when you watch movies, I was watching a new movie that was just made, and that word was being dropped every 2-3 minutes. It was dropped again and again, and it looks like it's acceptable, but to who makes it acceptable? When is it not acceptable? If it's not going to be acceptable, take it off the table completely.
Well,
let's not use it when because I'm with my friends, it's okay. No, it's not okay, because if you use it with your friends, you're going to use it towards somebody else. And why, if you say it to one person, it is supposedly less impactful to another person.
No, and I also think with things like that, where it belongs to one culture, it doesn't mean that another culture can't be offended by it. I know that if someone ever says that word, it has nothing to do with me and my race. But I am deeply offended if that word gets thrown around, not because, and I think it's okay to say that. And I know that a lot of people would say, well, you don't have the right to be offended because it's not your word to be offended over. But at the same time, if it's like Biggs was saying, if it's said it should be across the board, it's negative. I've grown up, it's a negative, hateful word. So why would someone, as myself, want to ever hear it or use it?
So the comment that was responded to me was, Big John, your lack of understanding on the usage, reclaim, and retooling of that word is showing. So what somebody is saying to me is somebody is retooling that N-word, and the usage and reclaim of that. There's no reclaiming. The N-word is the N-word, and there's a specific definition for the N-word.
And there's nothing, that's it.
Nothing good about the definition of the N-word.
The more that people hear it being used, period, other people are going to repeat it because they think it's okay, and it's not okay.
My response to that individual, I'm not going to say his name, but my response for that individual was, really? You know me that well, huh? You have no clue. If that word is unacceptable in any way, it's unacceptable in all ways, period. He says to me, based on your comment, it shows you like to go in depth with it. Please do so. Education is elevation. Let's go to it. I said, I guess you can't read. I said, the N-word is wrong at all levels. What part of that do you not understand?
Right.
Everything's about a debate. It's a debate.
Everything is a fight. Everything. And that goes back to the cancel culture, where people are constantly waiting for someone to mess up so they can cancel them, get rid of them, be done with them. I mean, everything that is said, now you're walking on eggshells because they're just looking for one thing.
We were afraid before.
Selective cancellation.
Very selective.
A lot of people out there are trying to cancel history. Now, that word I'm talking about is history. Yes, leave it in history. We don't need to cancel that history, but we need to leave it there and educate from that. Therefore, moving forward, we need to be positive.
Are we going to have history when in the future?
I don't know.
Is there truly going to be history? Because we're
I'm going to say this. It's the only political thing I will say on this show. We will have history if a certain party is in power. And if the other one is, we will not. And that's that. And that's nothing negative. It's just facts.
Right now, it's like everything about history is being dismantled.
Bill, let's. I mean, we talked about toys earlier, so let's go to a children's book now. That's the highlight of mainstream media all over the place. Dr. Seuss, as innocent as anything can be in the history,
it was his birthday,
our childhoods, and of our future childhoods. Dr. Seuss?
Dr.
Really? You're going
Seuss.
after Dr. Seuss and saying it's racist?
I told you the title that I saw was right. I was like, huh? And it says Dr. Seuss is racist. And I thought it was a joke. And I'm like, there's no way. So I clicked on it because I was stupid. I had no clue. And apparently 6 books he wrote or illustrated shows things that are wrong. Now, I don't have copies of all those books. I saw one picture that they referred to. And I guess because Chinese people, they had, I guess they were carrying their king or something, whatever, in Dr. Seuss land. And it showed several of them carrying it. They said that is racist. I didn't read the whole thing because, I didn't. At that point, I was like, okay, we're taking where, this is what kids were learning back then. It's a book. It's racist. I said, okay, it's racist. I'm not even gonna look at it anymore. I stopped looking at and reading it.
Do people realize we still do have kings and queens in the world out there, and that do look at people as peasants and all that stuff? That's still going on.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but is it right to acknowledge it? You know what I mean? When I grew up in the projects, because that's what we call it, the projects. As I grew up, the people, outside people, weren't allowed to call it the projects because it allegedly was like detrimental to your brain. So it was a tenement building. You could call it whatever you want. It's a project. You threw up a bunch of buildings with 20 stories high, and you shoved 100,000 families in that neighborhood. It's not a tenement. It's the projects. That's what we call it. But no, it's a tenement because it's insensitive.
Let me just say this. If you take Dr. Seuss off the shelves, take the book Roots off the shelves, take all those books that have anything to do with a certain culture
that are wrong
off the shelves.
And you know what? It's probably going to happen. It could potentially happen if you're taking out anything that portrays and they're eliminating history.
Now you are denying our future, what the history of this country was built on, the mistakes that took place, and how we have gone from mistakes to the positivity and growing our future, growing the generations as generations have gone on. And how do we learn from that? How do we say these mistakes happened in the past? When we move forward, we don't make those mistakes again. And the only way to learn that is by the history.
Yep. And what do we do? No, it is. And it's what do we do what country, okay, here's a little trivia for you. What country in the world is the only country in the world to censor books and or computer access beyond their wall of access? There's only one country in the whole world. And everyone, when you mention this country, says, oh gosh, we would never be like that. We're the land of freedom. And who do we replicate when we start censoring like this? North Korea. That's exactly what they do. They censor what their population can see, read, hear. They monitor everything. Yeah, they put a barricade on their internet so you can't get any news outside of North Korea's news. You don't know what's happening in other parts of the world. And people laugh when you bring that up and they kind of say, well, that's so far. But it's really not that far from being similar.
So let's take that particular Dr. Seuss book, for instance. You have a king that's being raised and being carried, right? I say to my mom and my dad, Mommy, Daddy, why is that king being raised over his head and being carried? This is where, get this, what a concept. Parenting comes in.
Yep.
Oh my God, just imagine it. You have 2 adults or 1 adult explaining what that book is and what is happening there to their child.
Yes.
Why? That would require work.
Yeah, that's way too much work.
Why not just get rid of it? If you get rid of it, then you don't have to talk about it, and then you don't have to teach it. And then the new generation is never going to know what happened in the past generation. So if they make a mistake, they're not going to know that they made that mistake because they don't know that it was a mistake back then. So if you eliminate it, allegedly, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, I don't. Everything is wrong. Can you imagine the comics that we grew up with back? Andrew Dice Clay and all these other guys. Can you imagine if they came now? How do you make something funny?
I'll mention one show, one TV show, All in the Family.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness! Oh yeah.
There's 100 million of them that are
Jeffersons.
The Jeffersons, that's right. All those you can you catch reruns? Happy Days. You know what I mean? You look at all those shows that we grew up on.
Yep.
What would happen if you tried playing those shows now? They were based on being racist and making funny jokes about it and how it was.
Sure. Even
what do you do? Oops, sorry. That was me hitting my screen. Oh my
There's an earthquake, little Florida earthquake.
Yeah, a little shaking going on. Yes. Well, I know we're short on time because we got about 30 seconds left in this segment over here. So you got to start wrapping it up because we can talk a lot.
Before we do wrap it up, I just want to say the views and opinions that has been expressed in this segment are not necessarily those of Native Family Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, any other platform that carries BGT-TV or Big's Golf Talk, including YouTube, may not be their views and opinions, and it's solely our views here on this show.
I love everybody.
I
don't care who you are. I love God. I love you all. I don't care. You know what I mean?
We are all God's children.
Yep.
Plain and simple. I don't care, man. I don't care color. I don't care anything else. You want to see my kids? My kids are darker than half the people out there. I don't care. You know what I mean? So
if people only knew where I went to high school at, they have no clue.
They have no clue. And the thing is, you just gotta love. We just need to love people. That's what it was. When I was raised by a neighborhood. That's who I was raised by. It didn't matter if my parents caught me doing something bad or the neighbor or somebody down the block. They were going to handle the business. And they
didn't send you back home.
No.
They took care of it.
They took care of it right then and there. And that's what we lost. We lost the community. They say it takes a whole community to do it. We need to get back. We need to get that back.
Absolutely. And we need to get back here on Big's Golf Talk and move on to our next segment. Amanda, have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys.
And Bill and I will be back for hour number 2 right here on BGT-TV and Big's Golf Talk. We'll be right back.